what I hope to do with this panel of esteemed colleagues here is, talk about the cloud and talk about the business problems that we've all seen in the last couple of years, because each and every one of us in this room represents some area of the business that is challenged by someone who needs something from digital. And how do you go about doing that? How do you set a course? And how do you maintain that strategy of what the business outcome wants and what you want to drive as a technology leader? And ultimately, how did you leverage cloud to do that? So that's what we're going to talk about. I'll use the audience to gauge how fast we go to happy hour or how slow we go to emails. So with that, just quick intro, Ryan Maguire, Chief Technology and Product Officer here at Kin Carta. I'll turn it over to you guys to go through.
I'm Eliot Joslin. I'm an AI solution specialist with Google Cloud. Great to be here.
Hey, Andy Kortz, CTO of AutoApprove.
I'm Andy Zorkin. Yeah, I'm Andy Goodfellow, CTO of Zoro.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Two Andys.
Yeah.
Lob it out, and you guys.
I'll be Andy.
Sort of that.
Two. You can be Andy.
one.
Andy one,
Number
Andy two.
one.
All right, sounds good. So as I alluded to, each of us have a responsibility to market to our business. So maybe just give a little bit of backdrop, each one of you, about a business problem that you had. What were the outcomes that were expected of you, and how did the stakeholders look to you to drive an outcome? What was the outcome that they were trying to drive?
Want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Zoro about 5 years ago, not quite, but almost. And probably the biggest outcome that Zoro needed was speed and scale, right? Which actually Mike talked a little bit about that at Gordon. So Zoro was on a journey at that point. It was about a $500 million in revenue business. We had about 2 million, maybe it was 1.5 million products online that we merchandised, and we wanted to grow both of those things very quickly. So it really became a model of assortment growth, endless assortment, and path to revenue. Grainger, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Grainger, and so Grainger has now segmented themselves into two. Which one is like white glove, kind of high touch segment, which is Grainger US. And then in the US, Zoro is the endless assortment model with a single channel online only. So we were really a growth engine for Grainger, and kind of Grainger's more, I would think of it as more of a profit engine. So when you have a growth engine inside of that kind of business, it's really all about speed and scale and how fast you can get there. Fortunately, Zoro is a cloud native business, and it's about 12 years old now. When I joined, it was about 5 or 6 years old. And the cloud native kind of approach had helped them get to that point, but they still had a bunch of changes to make. So the leadership was looking for me and my teams to figure out how we can continue to scale, actually at a faster rate than they scaled before, quickly. So that's kind of what my challenges were.
Got it? Cool. Andy one.
Yeah, on the AutoApprove side, I joined AutoApprove April this year and partnered with Nick and Paul and the Kin Carta team. We also had a similar challenge in just being able to be agile and changing releases and features. For a little bit of background on AutoApprove, we do auto loan refinancing. We average right now about 5,000 auto loan refinances a month, so we're in the market of helping people save money. We save people about $150 a month on their car payments. But in the current macroeconomic environments, we have to change our features and our roadmap all the time. So the business was really coming to us looking for agility to get features out. Our old platform is in the cloud, but it was kind of cowboy coded a few years ago and just really hard to get features out there. So looking to change to a new platform, scalability, all those buzzwords as well, but also enabling the business to be able to make decisions and get features out fast. And so the cloud has helped us do that. And a good side effect of that in this past few years has been really hard to hire engineering talent. And so I know Mike was talking about innovation earlier, and with that comes inspiration. And I think enabling that innovation space for engineers to come to work and be their best selves and partner with the business to get features out is really what the cloud has helped us do this year.
Awesome. That's great. Eliot, from your perspective, I know we talked about it in warm-up, but thinking about your customers or even thinking about Google, because we tend to think about Google as we're consumers of Google service, but Google are building products every day. So what business challenges are brought to you?
Well, we're seeing a little bit of everything, right? So
That's upside down, sorry.
thank you.
No problem.
And we talk a lot about sort of meeting our customers where they're at, right? So I think in both of these cases, right, are good examples of whether it's cloud first or maybe something that's coming from a bit of a more legacy approach, where we're asked to step in and have some early conversations about whether it's innovation or the art of the possible. And so I think we're doing a lot of those early conversations in a way to help sort of drive the business, right? And I think it's really sort of helpful to think of this coming with we see the customers that are most successful come to this with a lens of some driving principles, right? Whether that's saving money or we're going to scale. And applying those lenses to a particular set of small challenges, right? That innovation flywheel, so to speak. And so, I think we do a great job of trying to have those early conversations and drive towards that innovation.
No, that's good. I mean, the things I hear is scale, pace of release, and velocity. Which I think is, Andy, in your case from AutoProve, it's really about competition to market and being a better product, right? So it's product velocity, product scale, and I think, Eliot, what you're talking about too is, tip of the spear innovation to think about the next thing that's out there, right? So these are the business problems that are coming to us. I think you used a great term, and I'm going to tee it up to Andy too, around flywheel. So one of the challenges of all of us is staying in that center lane of keeping the balance between what the business wants versus what we want from an IT landscape, right? And how do we play with the coolest, newest technology, that we just heard about this morning? It's like everybody's running off to go do, Vertex Vision and play with that today, right? So like that's all getting spun up. It's like, look, I can drag and drop and create a really cool traffic model. But like that's not the set core of things. So how do you guys, in your organization, take those business outcomes, align that to the technology roadmap, and keep that combined? So Andy, I know that we talked earlier about kind of that flywheel concept, so maybe you can just dive into that a little bit about how you keep those things in check.
Yeah, so I would say our technology really powers our flywheel, right? So our flywheel looks like we get as many products as we can online to merchandise. Those products generate more traffic. That traffic generates sales. Typically, frequency is what we're looking for, right? Purchase frequency, which generates more suppliers' interest in adding more products to Zoro's merchandising platform, and then it just spins, right? So we've been doing that for a long time, and we all of those parts along that journey are powered by technology, right? We use Google's technology to attract people to our platform based on how many products we sell, and then we use Google's infrastructure to power all those things at scale. Because the more traffic we get, the faster that traffic goes, the more our bottlenecks start to show up, and that's where the cloud can really be helpful. And what we found was, we've been around for about 12 years now, and again, cloud native, you can still build cloud stuff full of bottlenecks, right? You can architect it wrong, you can come up with all kinds of monoliths, which when I joined Zoro, that's what we had. We had a big, nasty, ugly monolith, right? So part of our journey was, if we're gonna scale, we need to unwind this thing and come up with a new architecture and a new model to go after in the future. And Google actually helped us with those kind of proof of concepts to try to break that monolith apart and get to something that would really be compelling in the future. So really, there's no kind of part of our flywheel that works well without really good, robust, fast, and scalable technology, which GCP really helps us with. So.
Cool. And so, Andy, we talked about, in the space that you're in, velocity of product out to market.
Right.
And, that's never an easy thing. There's always barriers to that. So how do you deal with those things and keeping the expectations set clear?
Yeah, sorry, Mike. For that, really just taking the business with you on the journey and having engineers really pair with the business team members so they can get them excited about getting the velocity out there fast and really helping their vision come to life quickly and allowing the cloud to help us do that.
Can I piggyback on Andy's answer? So I think that's a great answer. Like one of the things that I found, and you're probably finding the same thing, is when you have really interesting technology problems, like that's what talent really is looking for. So if you're looking to go kind of find people in the marketplace, what you want is really interesting, fun technical challenges to let them go after, right? And just let them free and let them run and try different things. And I think what we found is GCP helps us do a lot of that stuff quickly, iterate fast, keep people engaged, lots of opportunity to change to different projects once those projects are done, or if you're on a product team, like it allows you to do all that kind of stuff as a technology leader, which is super helpful. And I think with a not a cloud approach or other approaches that are a little more static, like that probably gets really stale really fast. So that's one way that I think we can get talent and keep talent. That's what we found.
Absolutely.
So Eliot, along that lines, because I think you teed it up pretty good there, Andy, around you've got an existing structure, you've got a business outcome, but there might be another interesting product out there that's maybe not yet to market. So Mike talked about it earlier, adopting BigQuery as the back engine for their systems, but it's predicated on it's not quite there with Snowflake on parity, but it's running AdWords. A lot of the things that you come in to see is, hey, you're here in this technology stack, but here's the next one. How do you bridge that gap and some of the challenges that you guys talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we tend to try to have conversations about, the roadmaps of our products, right? And that involves our product teams within Google. But additionally, there's often times where there is some custom development, there's augmentation that's required around the edges of Google Cloud products to really align it correctly to the business, right? And get those more exact outcomes that we're driving towards. And we work with partners to help to deliver those and really tailor those solutions. But this is all on the foundation of things like BigQuery or Doc AI and Vertex AI, things like that. But
that's great. Yeah. I think one thing I wanted to go into a little bit, because we talked about a talent profile and keeping that sharp. I think Mark talked about the 100,000 open jobs that we have. You guys are challenged just like we are with talent retention. Giving interesting problems to solve and keeping those connections. What we've seen is bringing our technologists closer to the business problems, getting them to understand, like, why is the thing that I'm working on matter for the end state of the business? So being able to say, my contributions add this value to the business. If I'm measured in a stock price, if I'm measured in release dates and those types of things. So, from your guys' experience with your teams, like, can you just tell us a little bit about how you keep that talent motivated? What type of things you're seeing in your organization that people get really excited about that match back to talent retention?
Yeah, I think really to keep them motivated is giving them that space to innovate and fail fast, and do that on a frequent basis. Say, hey, we have this problem to solve. You have an afternoon. Let's see what you have by 4 o'clock and see if something we can move forward with or start on the next thing. So that really gets people excited and, I can solve this, and think about their own way and their own freedom to go do so. And it's really empowering. And when you have that empowerment, then you innovate. And when you innovate, then you inspire. And then that flywheel just keeps going.
Yeah, so similar. One of the things that we like to do at Zoro is give a lot of people opportunities to work on a lot of different things. So our kind of approach is somebody that has different experiences in the organization actually becomes more valuable to the organization. So if you're working on a recommendations engine and you've done that for 6 months and you're getting really good outcomes there, but you're maybe more interested in a product information management system, or you're more interested in doing some of the data science stuff that was behind that if you were a software engineer, there's lots of freedom at Zoro to go do those different things. And you don't have to do that. You could stay in the place you're comfortable if that's what works best for you and keeps you engaged. But there's lots of opportunity, and we typically say yes to pretty different changes in people's kind of scope of responsibility, because we really want them engaged, and the better they know the business and the better they know the customer, the more valuable they are to pretty much everybody, and allows them to continue to grow their career. So there's kind of a lot of fun, opportunities to not only work on interesting problems, but lots of different kinds of things, which keeps folks engaged and I think producing really good work in the way that Andy was just talking about too, like lots of iterations and things.
Well, and I think along that lines, it's that iteration, learning the technology. But if you're doing it with a business outcome in mind, now you're becoming more well-rounded to the business and what you're driving towards, right? That allows that innovation to be targeted at a specific outcome for the business. Looking at the time clock and seeing people check email, so I'm going to slow down so you don't have to. I'm just kidding. I'm going to round out with a last set of questions, and hopefully these trigger conversations to be had after this, because I think the number one thing is really to get our stories out and share our stories so that everybody can learn together. So on this journey through the business cases, through the technology, what is something that you would look back on? And Eliot, I'm going to start with you from tip of the spear, top of innovation. What is the thing that and I think Roshni talked about it a little bit, like what makes it successful to go into those engagements, and kind of what would you do differently to give insight to this audience, when you're coming in, try not to do these things so that you can have that momentum.
I guess I would start with just the notion of starting quickly, not over deliberating on, and I know this was a theme presented earlier, but not spending too much time on your, a year-long strategy and then a year-long RFP to select the perfect product, to then start to make that innovation 2 or 3 years later, is to really get started rapidly, have a hypothesis, and start experimenting as quickly as possible, and fail fast if necessary. But ideally, you're able to find some quick wins and iterate.
So in your opinion on that, what do you think are some of the barriers that block organizations from doing that? Why do they build a roadmap? Why do they think about long-term, versus quick iterative start processes?
I think in some cases there is organizational structure might be in place that might be there that reinforces that kind of notion that comes from where there was a need in the past to, hey, we're going to spend $5 million on this piece of hardware that's going to go in our data center, and so it's such a huge capital expense up front that it was very, very important to get it right, because if you got it wrong, there was no way to easily back out, right? And so I think that a lot of that is just in place at organizations, that is still there. And, I think we now have some clarity as to, hopefully that's not the way organizations should be moving forward, right, in order to innovate. And because the truth is that the businesses are changing so rapidly and the markets are changing so rapidly that you really are much better off of just moving than over deliberating.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that echoes back to what Roshni said. Like Mike's role at GFS with all the things that we heard is not just the technology, but the change agent, right? Sometimes we have to be more than just the technologists in the room. We've got to be those that bring forward the change. So Andy Squared, in the businesses that you guys are running, like if you look back, what would you do differently, and what were some of the key learnings that you'd want to share with this group?
I think Eliot stole my answer. I was going to say it was really that, giving people a space to fail fast and building hypotheses that are short in nature, not year-long strategy that will this work a year from now, and being able to try it, fail from it, learn from it, and move on. And I think what your point on the challenge with that is, even though it's easy to stand up in the cloud and it's much more expensive when it's on-prem, and shutting it down is hard to do, the leadership team really sees that now as like this person's wasting time, and that's the big fight you have to do now. So if you shrink that to a smaller problem and learn from it and take those learnings and build off them, do that sooner rather than later.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do. I guess the thing I would say is I would go faster than we went before. So I remember the very first year I was there, my boss would come to me and be like, hey, how's this thing going that you're working on? And I would tell him how it's going. It was usually going pretty well. And he would say, go faster. And he would literally look me in the eye. So that year, 2018, I think he told me go faster probably like 50 times. It was a little bit unsettling, but like he got it. Like he understood, and I 100% believe that now. Like speed wins. So you go as fast as you can, and then so if you back it up, the thing that matters in all of that is your culture. If you have a culture at your organization that allows for very fast movement with a lot of safety, that's what you need. And I think you mentioned, Andy, like you need to kind of not have that fear of failure, and that's really something that starts with the culture of your organization. If you're missing that, go work on that, right? And then once that's in a place where your people can feel pretty unafraid to make mistakes, then let them go, right, and let them innovate, and they'll do pretty great stuff. And then you just got to keep making them comfortable to go faster and faster, and the faster they go, quite frankly, the faster they make the mistakes, the better. Like, then you learn from that, because that's actually not a bad thing, because you go learn. So then you do it differently the next time. So that's what I'd say. Probably go faster. And luckily, Zoro had a really good culture when I joined. So a lot of that has just been the past 5 years is maintaining the culture, making sure there's a good mindset for you're okay to try new things. A guy I used to work with probably 20 years ago, his saying was drive fast and take chances. And so I've kind of tried to reiterate that, like, go drive fast, like, take chances, it'll be fine. And then when people make mistakes, like, make sure it's okay and that they understand that, and celebrate those if you can. That's hard. So that's why I just go faster.
Go faster. Love it. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your input, and look forward to conversations here on after.
Thanks, Ryan.